Sampradaya, in my opinion, and I think we've obviously discussed this a lot, but in my opinion, it needs that the veil needs to be pulled down, and we just need to start being honest with each other as devotees, as Hindus or as Vaishnavas who follow an orthodoxy or a sampradaya. We need to be honest about what it is and what it isn't, and I think that will help. Once you understand that, the kind of prospect of starting a new sampradaya is not as outlandish as you might think. I think that's the key thing to understand, like the myths that we need to put forward.
I fully agree. I mean, I think you mentioned one of the meanings of sampradaya is that which gives fully. Another one is that which connects to the source. And the reason I say that is because I think at its most simple form, a sampradaya is meant to just connect you to the source. Chapter 10, verse 8, Krishna says, I'm the source of everything, right? And so the idea is you're connecting to God, and the sampradaya sometimes loses track, I think, of the actual purpose that it's supposed to have, which is, I'm here. It's an orthodoxy, it's an orthopraxy as well. It systematizes thought and practice into a sort of, as you said, civilized society of sorts within the landscape of Hinduism and Vaishnavism. But the only real purpose of it at the core is to take you to God, to connect you with God. Right? If it's not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, it's so fundamental, but you can easily get lost in the world of sampradaya, of shastra, of chapter and verse, and this acharya said this and this acharya said that, and everyone can just lose the focus. You are supposed to be connected to God, full stop. If it doesn't do that, then it's not serving you. And the thing, I've had dialogues, say, with a Sri Vaishnava, and the thing that we were arguing about, well, not arguing, it was quite pleasant in the end. It was very, very good discussion, actually. And he was kind of making the point that, the Sri Sampradaya is very ancient, back to Nata Muni, Alvars, back to Mahalakshmi, right, as tradition says. And so it's a tried and tested method. You have acharyas following consistently the teachings, and so it's withstood the test of time. And therefore we can trust the teachings and the practices, and therefore it's kind of authoritative. And my response to that was, my mum makes sweet rice and Thai pongal, right? April 14th. It's something that's been continued for centuries, for millennia potentially. It doesn't mean it's truth, right? If you have a strong community that can carry something forward over and over and over again, it happens. If old is gold and ancient is the measure of legitimacy, well, why not go for Buddhism?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not go for the Paramahamsa philosophy? Why not even, if Nata Muni is at a certain, you can go for Christianity is pretty ancient, right? Or Judaism.
I mean, relatively speaking, even all the Vaishnava Sampradayas are pretty modern. I mean, even if we're talking about pretty much all of them forming in the last 1,000 years, and that might sound like a long time, but in the bigger picture of the religious landscape of the world, it's really not. These are sort of very recent movements, if you want to call it that.
No, but what happens is when people appeal to ancient authority, it's just assumed it's all true.
Yeah.
Right? Remember when Guruji was initiated into the Sri Sampradaya, right? And so there was this kind of person who was saying, how do we know he was initiated? Well, the devotee, you met the acharya who initiated. Sure. You met him personally, right? So we have pretty good evidence to show that he was initiated in the Sri Sampradaya. But no one questions whether, say, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Madhvacharyas,
any of them, yeah.
Right? No one questions it. That's just assumed, right? Even though it happened thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, right? That is bona fide. That is authoritative. You can't question that. And if you question that, what are you doing here, right? You're completely misguided. So whereas if I've met somebody, a personality, and you've met the actual acharya, and you've gone with Guruji to the acharya in the place where he was initiated, right?
Can give you address and street if anyone needs.
Yeah, address and street, the whole works. And yet, I've seen the photos as well. And yet we're supposed to somehow go, well, I'm not sure if he got initiated, but he definitely did get initiated, even though it was 500 years ago. Again, it's an example of how we're losing track of truth. Right? We're losing track of truth. Tradition, it's a wonderful thing. We have to always caveat everything we're saying, right? But that we're saying that, look, if you have faith in that, it's not a problem. It's not like we're saying it's wrong, but we're just saying if the criticism is you are starting a new sampradaya. How is it authoritative? How is it legitimate? Right? Well, I would say that I would posit that we are potentially in the most legitimate position because we are currently with the founding acharya of the whole sampradaya, of who we are placing our faith in. We are seeing him directly, right? We are seeing his words and his actions and his personality directly. We're not relying on centuries-old texts written 500 years ago, 600 years ago to depict a story or a leela that may or may not have happened. That is a real leap of faith. But the leap of faith we're having with Guruji is minimal in comparison, negligible.